Guys, please help me welcome Chris Huie.
No.
Or you can talk loud.
I'll just go with this. We got this. So. All right, yeah, so we talked about, this is what I want to take, I took the approach, I know the least about React than any of the presenters, hands down, and probably most of the people in this room. I spend a lot more of my days evangelizing than I do coding too, so it's pretty amateur-esque. But I will say that I came from it practically new. So you can totally pick up React and build something and tie stuff really cool. It was awesome that Tyler let me participate. So this is definitely, if I had to name it, the amateurish, like first-timer app way to do everything. But in there, I learned so much about random stuff like the refresh, this cool DB thing because I was pulling in the terms, and even in my app, I still pull terms, definitions, and also for somebody, I heard it was mentioned that hitting the endpoints too much. One thing I tried to do and I failed was React add-on and kind of splice out just a single pull. And I looked at it and I tried really hard to do it and I failed. So this is the what I got. I didn't do the user part, but I got the addition of terms, and we can just kind of talk through some of the other stuff that I ran into. So let's open this up. Bump the font. Am I going?
There's a presentation mode in JetBrains too, so you can do like view
Is there?
presentation mode.
Where is it?
At the menu at the top. Go to the top of the screen, go to view, enter presentation mode, I think. Your presentation bottom.
Enter. Sweet. Oh, boom. Can you go down? This will be fine. So one thing that I also saw is component will mount versus component did mount. I don't know if I did it right. I did it in the will mount. I read a lot about it. So if anyone, I saw some people did it on the did mount. I did it on the will mount. Would love to hear like more about the back and forth on that. So definitely, if you that it has to do with kind of whether your components are there before you get the data, right? And that's kind of the idea. That's why I went with component will mount, but I don't know if it really matters in real world. And again, so mine definitely. What I also didn't add, we're going to talk about what's not in this as much as what is in this. Is try catch. You would clearly do that. I did not. For my calls, I did make 2 calls because again I couldn't splice them. And even after I did find out the DB trick, it was after I'd already built enough stuff and I didn't want to rewrite it. So I use Axios. I don't know if anyone's used Axios. There's Super Agent. I did it with Fetch too, but I don't know. It was just I felt like using Axios. So I did that, got those endpoints. Essentially, if we scroll down here, and now that I saw all the other code too, I realized that there was an index in here that I deleted in my messing around. So that's the reality of a lot of my bugs also. This is so, and also, so one of the things on here is if you look at mine right now, I don't know how to break out of presentation mode now. Oh, refused. So if you look at mine, one thing is that you'll see is that it's not actually split. The terms and the definitions on the terms are not split. So each term has the entire definition scope, and that is because I didn't filter it. That's something I needed to do, was essentially filter out the matching term ID. So if you look in the db.json, do I still have it up? Did I kill it? I probably killed it somewhere. Nope. Yeah. So if you look at the terms, there's this ID, and then there's the term ID, essentially to match it to each other. In the map, what I really needed to do was filter that to essentially intersect the two, so that you get the right result set, right? So that you're returning, so you're actually returning, instead of the entire definition set, the applicable definition set based on the term. So that's one thing that I wish I would have implemented that I didn't get the chance to. So I did get add term in there, so we can say my term. Adds my term, again, living in the entire definition scope, but term is added. And for anyone that doesn't, so we'll go back to the code, back into presentation mode. That didn't go back into presentation mode. So, view. All right, so if I, actually, sorry about this, guys. How do I get back to my file system now? Why does this hate me?
How do you get
Oh,
this file
presentation
back?
mode?
Yeah, how do I get up?
There's a
Just
there's
go-
a shortcut for that. But like,
hit me with
basically
it.
You can just exit presentation mode if you want to.
So
What's
let's.
the keyboard shortcut on Mac to open the file?
Zoom in the text,
How does he zoom in?
like literally two-finger zoom on the text itself.
What is it? Oh, just expand?
Yeah.
Just pinch zoom.
That didn't work. Oh, there we go. Oh, what? Guys, this has been more enlightening for me than you, definitely. Somebody kind of mentioned it. There's a React Bootstrap is used in here. So kind of when I was looking to like add a term, the way I did it was using the React DOM and then adding a reference to the form control itself. And that's how I got the value out of that specific area for both add term and then also I did the add definition of practically the same thing. And then that was in there is where I did my posts, wherever I have that. Yeah, so this is essentially the poster right here.
You zoom that in?
Yeah, sorry. And actually expand it, yeah.
You can scroll.
So where do you want me to go?
Oh, you're saying React DOM dot find DOM node?
Yeah.
Could you just say this dot reps dot definition control dot value?
You could, absolutely. If you're saying it to me, I'm going to say that absolutely that would be right. But yeah, I totally believe it. But so yeah, that is what I got, guys. Is there any questions about how fun and arduous kind of this learning curve was, but wasn't so bad that I didn't build anything? Yeah.
Like, what's the feature or the skill that you think you gained the most from doing this project?
I think so. Like I've definitely. It's not like I come to the React meetups and I've read certain stuff on Reacts. And kind of the cool thing about this is what I would say a real life project. So it's not like me just messing around on a small. I didn't realize, like, I understood that there's so much passed around between the components, and there's definitely a hierarchy there. But until you're really in that hierarchy, you don't appreciate like how tied in it is to each one. So like if I started, in like this component right here, I have to go really understand those other components because it really does flow so far down. And you read about that, but I don't think until you're really in a project, you understand how that whole hierarchy works and kind of the interrelationship between all the components and kind of how beautifully awesome that is in itself. It's super, super rad, but you can say it, but until you've actually been in a project like that, you don't really grasp it, in my opinion. Yeah?
So as the self-proclaimed most beginnerist person in the room, what would you say?
More than that.
What would you say is the part that, in terms of building this, that you're like, oh, this is like the easiest, most enjoyable, and what aspect of the challenge did you find the most difficult to
So for me, and I don't know if anyone else, is really just understanding, like I said, it was really understanding this entire project, right? Because you can't just start writing anything in there without understanding everything else. So I really had to, especially for somebody that doesn't understand React, I literally had to go through the code, figure out what in the world, like, React Bootstrap even was. Like, I didn't know that was a thing, so, learning that, and then, just kind of understanding all these different, components and features that were in this specific project, and again, like, hashing out ideas, where I'm trying to, not hit the API so many times, and trying things like all these other things that I'm trying, or trying to return an entire JSON object, and everything that went into this that Tyler built, which is incredible, because I can't imagine how much time he spent on like building this, which is awesome. But it was really just kind of understanding the entire structure of this project, and again, I don't spend much time developing. So that was probably the thing that I spent the most time at, and then it was just failing consistently, like just errors in my browser every day. So, anything else?
Did you find the errors helpful?
Pretty much. I mean.